Welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, really glad to hear today.
We're so excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking about marketing your next big course, program, challenge, or other type of launch. If you are going to be offering something to your list and to the greater public soon, you are here at the right time. Today, we have an actual checklist that we're going to be providing you, and we're going to be walking through the sort of phases of marketing and preparation to get you ready to have the best possible launch of your offer. So this is going to be a packed call in terms of content. There's a lot for us to get into here today. So while we are just getting started here on the call, go ahead and head into the chat, introduce yourselves. We are here live every Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. It's a great opportunity for you to learn more ways to grow your business and, of course, learn how to use AttractWell to get it done. If you're new to AttractWell, this is a great place to learn a little bit more about the things that you can do with us. Of course, we have a lot more where this came from. Hope you'll join us on a future call as well. Bring your friends. We always love meeting folks from all over the world here. So welcome. Yeah, let us know who you are, what you do, where you're coming in from. Always a really great community here in the discussion. So Greg, I'm going to pop out a video here and come back and join you here in just a bit. But we've got, like I mentioned, a lot to get into. So let's go ahead and get it. So today we have a marketing checklist. We're going to go through the steps of what's needed to launch your course or program and get as many people on board as possible. So today we're going to talk about our planning for marketing, our checklist, and our resources. And as usual, we have live help and Q&A. This is a call that is offered for free to our community every single week. And you are a part of this community if you are here live or if you are watching in the future. You do not have to be a member of AttractWell to take advantage of this. But if you are someone who is and you'd like an opportunity to work together live, we've got some opportunities for you here on this live call. So let's talk about that. First, if you're watching this as a replay, head over to attractwell.com/office hours so you can join us on an upcoming live call. And if you would like to work together today, like you'll see several folks do, you can set time aside for that on a call just like this one by going to attractwell.com/work review. And if you would like some help, if you would like for someone to just take some of this work off your hands, you can go to attractwell.com/concierge to learn more about our team and get a quote. Now, let me know in the chat, what do you have in the works? What are you working on right now or planning to launch soon? What does that look like for you? Do you have a course? Do you have a program? Maybe a workshop series? What are you working on that you are excited to launch here in the near future? So we've got courses, and Sonia, absolutely going to be bringing you out here to chat in just a bit. Fantastic. Oh, keep it coming, you guys. Really, really looking forward to hearing more about this. And if you guys here on the live call, if you would like to chat about context and maybe how you might approach your launch, maybe differently from some of the examples that we see, feel free to ask away in the Q&A, and we can spend as much time as we possibly can on those. All right, so if you want to be effective in your launch, it's important that you have the right planning in place. And it really is important for you to start as early as possible with these steps. For all of the time that you put into creating something that showcases your expertise, you really need to be putting as much, if not more, time into your strategies to helping the world see what it is that you've got to offer, right? If you build it, they will come is a fallacy. We've heard it in the movies. It is not something that works. It's not something that works in the world of business. So just getting your course, your program, etc., created isn't even half the work. So there's quite a bit more that we need to be focusing on. And we're going to get into what all of that looks like here on today's call. So first is phase one. This is really pre-work, and we do have an additional training I'll point you guys to here in just a bit that we did on office hours, discussing what it looks like to launch. From more of a preparatory perspective. So looking at sort of what you do further ahead of time, but I'll give you guys a Cliff's Notes on that here. At least 4 to 6 weeks ahead of your cart open or when you launch your offer, you want to be focusing on creating opportunity for your launch. Now, if you are someone who does not have a particularly active list or social media following, you might want to scale this up a bit. You might want to spend 8 to 12 weeks ahead of time on this so that you've got more eyeballs that will get in front of your offer. So this is very important. Again, if you don't have an established audience, if you don't have an active list, especially if you aren't actively mailing your list or posting on social, that's something you want to start doing well ahead of time. All right. So phase one, the goal is to get people used to seeing you as a go-to who is leading conversations that matter to them. This is your opportunity to grab attention and then to build trust and to, of course, attract interest. In this phase, we are hoping to create a you habit with your ideal customers and clients. We want you to take up space in their brain, take up space in their inbox, and for them to look forward to it, for them to respond to it, right? In this phase, we're actually not doing anything openly that has to do with our offer at all. Our goal here is to grow our list of leads so that we have a larger potential group of people to put our offer in front of. And we want to nurture the list that we have and that we will be growing, again, to make sure that those folks are primed to open and read and pay attention to the messages that will follow. Excuse me. And I should reiterate again, in this phase, we are absolutely not talking about our offer. We're not talking about a launch. We are not hyping. We are not even sharing excitement about the thing that we've created because, and this stings a little bit, at this stage, nobody cares. You know, maybe your mom cares, maybe your best friend cares, of course you care, but nobody else in the world cares about this thing that you've created for your business at this point in time. Why? Because folks don't know why it would be important for them to listen at all in the first place, right? We have to create that relevance. We have to create that context. We have to create that connection. And that's what this phase is all about. It's about priming people's attention and habits and focus toward paying attention to you so that when it's time for you to pick up that megaphone and tell people to run to the checkout line and buy this thing, they'll do it. You can't just show up and tell them to do it if you haven't been talking to them already, right? You can't just show up and do it if you haven't been in their inbox consistently. You just showing up and saying, hey, I've got a thing to sell is not going to get you the result that you want. So we have to use this period of time to really actively engage and add value and build trust. So our to-dos in this phase are first, if you haven't done so already, create a lead magnet, right? And of course, you want to have a funnel that delivers your lead magnet. And this needs to be something that does relate directly to the problem that your offer solves, right? This is really important. If you are selling, for instance, let's see, Janice has got a course and a retreat in stress less to create more. So you have something you're ultimately selling that's showing people how to manage or remove stress from their lives. So maybe you have a piece of that program that you offer. Maybe you've got a quick little checklist for what you do first thing in the morning that sets you up for a stress-free day. That would be a great lead magnet. And they speak to each other, right? Because the person who says yes to the stress-free day lead magnet is very likely close to the same person, if not the same person, who's going to say yes to the course or program that helps them to actually fully remove that stress or the stressor from their daily experience, right? So we're using a lead magnet that's going to show us who would be best to sell to, right? So consider doing that. And honestly, most of us here today, I see a lot of very familiar names here in our list of participants on today's call. Most of you have a funnel. And so long as that funnel and what you're offering in it is congruent with what you're offering, you can continue using the lead magnet you already have. I am not suggesting that you go out and create a brand new one. What if what you're creating is something that is a little bit divergent from the the stuff that you're normally doing? Then you might consider, if the offer is out in left field compared to the other stuff you do, create a new lead magnet for it. All right. You're going to promote your funnel. And again, not your course or program. You're going to promote the lead generating thing that nurtures folks and shows them that you're someone who deserves space in their inbox. We're going to promote that funnel in our content. So that's our blog posts, our videos, podcasts, if you do them. And we're going to put those in our social posts as well. If you have a list, which we are growing at this stage, we are emailing our list at least once a week. We need them to build a habit of you opening up things that come from you, acting on things that come from you. You want to be posting on social media at least once per day, and you want to be consistently showing up and creating high value content. So that's taking the conversation a little bit deeper than you can have it on social media. So that's creating things like blog posts, podcasts, long form video, etc. Again, the things that really punctuate the I know what I'm talking about vibe that you want people to get from you, right? Phase 2. This is at least 2 to 4 weeks ahead of cart open. Highly encourage you to do this further out, like, so, 6 to 8 weeks ahead of cart open, if you can, just to save yourself the stress. Just make sure that you are continuing with the marketing that we've just discussed, the marketing of your list, your funnel to grow your list. But here we want to build out our marketing assets for our launch. So our goals in this phase are to utilize technology to create the best possible outcomes. And that technology is AttractWell. So we're going to use AttractWell and the features that we will employ today to expose as many people as possible to your offer, repeat that exposure so as to effectively convert them, and then retain the folks who this offer isn't for. We have been working so hard to grow our list. The last thing we want to do is alienate the people who are on the list who maybe know that they're not ready to purchase by bombarding them with messages they don't want to receive. We are going to make sure that we don't lose our subscribers when we get into our promotional phase. All right. So you can build these assets out earlier, like I mentioned, 6 to 8 weeks, etc. Just don't do it any later than 2 to 4 weeks before you launch. And make sure that throughout this time, basically from the point that you decide you're going to have a launch until it's time to promote, engage in the way that I have described so far. All right, phase 2, what are we going to get done? First, if you don't have one yet for your offer, you need a sales page. We're not going to get into the ins and outs and the nitty gritty of a sales page here on today's call. We do have other trainings that focus on that. Happy to show you guys where to find them in our previous call recordings, but definitely make sure you have a sales page, and highly recommend that you utilize a countdown timer so that you can have that additional support of a call to action where your cart closes and you're able to tell people to act now, or they will actually lose access to the thing that you're selling. Then I want you to create or use what I've created for you, a very simple preferences updated page. If you don't want to have one of these already, don't worry. I've already created one. I'll show you where to find it. Essentially, what the purpose of this page is to send people to who want to opt out of these marketing messages. So they're going to click a link, which is an automation in your email campaign that promotes your offer. They're going to click because it's going to say, hey, you know what? If you know this isn't for you right now and you'd rather not get these, no worries, click here and you'll keep getting my other stuff, just not this, right? So they're going to click that, and then we need to send them somewhere when they click it. And that's what this preferences updated page is about. We're then going to create an automation. That's the link they'll click in the email. And that's going to remove them from this campaign that we'll create. That's our sales campaign. And it's going to send them to that preferences updated page. We'll create a saved reply so that we can very easily plug in the copy and the links that accomplish that, right? So this is the blurb that's going to go into each email that's going to say, hey, by the way, this program is open. If I'm going to send a few more emails like this. If you'd rather not get them, click here, right? That saved reply is what we're going to use to make our lives easy. And then we'll create a campaign that ties it all together. So the campaign is going to promote and sell your offer. It's going to have that little blurb from your saved reply that includes that automation that redirects that preferences updated page and removes the campaign if they choose to opt out, right? And then, of course, naturally, because it is a sales campaign, you're going to be providing sales messaging in this campaign. You'll be linking off to your sales page, etc., because that's the whole purpose. The sales page is going to do the pitching. Now let's talk a little bit more about this sales campaign. First things first, it needs to be date-based because your offer should be date-based. We should have a cart open and close. You can have a reopen and close, absolutely, but it really ought to be date-based. It's going to assist you in really making a more effective call to action. We're not manufacturing scarcity, but most of the time where we are offering things like programs, workshops, etc., there truly is a deadline that we're observing. But even if it's a course, you could utilize something like a coupon code or maybe some kind of a limited time bonus or something like this, just to help create that circumstance where folks will be more inclined to take action, because if they think that they could do it anytime, they'll think that they'll come back, but they won't, right? Now we'll use that saved reply that we created to easily add that automation link to the top of each message. Don't worry, I'll show you exactly how to do this. In these messages, in these sales campaign emails, I want you to write to not just pitch, but to really dialogue with your ideal person. So this isn't hey, my thing is live. Here's all the things it does. Please go buy now. That is a message that you can send perhaps later on, near to the end of the campaign, but you want to be providing opportunities for them to see themselves as your clients, for them to see that you relate to them deeply and understand their frustrations and the reasons why they would purchase something like what you've created, right? So use this opportunity in this email sequence to really connect with depth and to provide valuable content in that way. So you're not just talking about the thing that they could go buy right now. You're showing them what life could look like through the lens of how you've helped others or how you've helped yourself, etc. Now, in terms of the volume of messages, we're going to send a message every 1 to 4 days until the cart closes. The more dialogue driven you are, the more engaging you are with these emails, the more storytelling you're doing, i.e. we're not just hard pitching, the better you can get away with sending a message every day to every couple of days, right? If this is something that you really are going to, just focus on being just here's a pitch, here's a pitch, here's a pitch, space those out a little bit more, because those they aren't as nice to receive. All right. And then finally, as you are, again, creating these emails, you want to really imagine, to use a musical term, a crescendo here of your call to action. We're going to start with maybe sort of maybe not a full whisper, but, just regular speaking volume, right? So, hey, I've just launched this thing and here's what you might need to know about it. Let me tell you a little story about my friend who right? So, and then we're going to move all the way through to the end of the sequence where we're going to say, this is the last call. If you don't take action now, you won't have access to this. What will it take, or, what will it cost you to not take action now, et cetera. That type of pitch is something that we want to really reserve for closer to the end of your campaign, right? We don't want to come out swinging. We want to come out walking, right? And then pace it up to the point where you're making a strong call to action at the end of the campaign. Now, the final phase is when we actually finally get the word out, right? So this is between 1 and 2 weeks ahead. It could be a little bit longer depending on what you're offering. This is when we promote. Our goals here are to get the word out, right? So we're going to get it out to our list first by applying our campaign to appropriate contacts. We'll get the word out on social by posting consistently. We'll share the link to our sales page or maybe even our funnel. We'll talk about this optional bit here. But at this phase, it is now time to go out and shout it from the mountaintops. Tell everybody about this amazing thing that you created. Go talk publicly about this thing. It's out there. People can buy it. They can get access to it. They can save their seat, but they have to act now, because here's when it ends. Here's when it closes, right? So our to-dos for this phase are first to apply our campaign. So we do that by filtering our contacts for our appropriate tags. And so what I would do here is just filter for your general mailing list tag. Anybody who's given you permission to send them marketing messages will be appropriate to apply this campaign to. Remembering, of course, that folks are able to click that line that'll be up at the top of their email and opt out of this campaign if they would rather just keep getting your weekly messages or whatever else you're sending out. You can also create an automation and temporarily attach your sales campaign to any of your active funnels. So any funnels that are currently generating traffic or that you have parked on your social, on your website, etc. You can add this campaign so that any new leads that come in during the promotional period will be getting those same messages. You can now, of course, actively talk about and promote your offer on social media by posting at least one time a day and creating short form content. So think reels on Instagram or going live on Facebook or LinkedIn, etc. All right, so let's go take a look at the resources that have been created for you that begins with a checklist. Here we go. So we've got a checklist here, and this reiterates a lot of what we just went over in our slides, including a list that you can kind of follow along and check off as you are progressing through your stages here. Now, where you see hyperlinks, so like for the campaign, automation, saved reply, etc., when it's time to create things in AttractWell, you can click any of these and it's going to take you over to a resource bundle where you'll see we have the checklist linked here as well. And we'll have this office hours session linked here as well once we have it up as a recording. And so you can see here, we've got all of these resources. They're already made. I'm going to show you how I made them and how they connect together. But if you want to have a starting point from which to, make edits and things like that, feel free to use what's here to help you get that done. So let's just take a quick look here. The first step is to create a campaign. We're not going to create the content of the campaign yet. We're simply going to create it because the next step is to create that automation that will remove that campaign from your contacts if they choose. We'll also create that saved reply to link to that automation. And we'll address the sales page. I'll show you, I've included a template example. And then we'll talk about the actually building out the content of the campaign. So first things first, let's head over to campaigns, take a look at this. And again, I'm going to show you what this looks like from scratch, but you do have a resource bundle you can claim. So I'm going to be selling a challenge. So I'm going to call this My Awesome Challenge. And I prefer to use email and not text, but if someone did give me their phone number and I can't reach them by email, I do want it to still reach them. So I'm choosing email preferred. We do have campaign send option training as well, if you want to go into depth on that at some point in the future. All right, so I've got that done. I've got My Awesome Challenge campaign created. Next step, we're going over to automations to create an automation that removes this campaign. All right, so I'm going to go to add. And I'm going to name this for what it is. Remove from My Awesome Challenge Sales Campaign. There we go. I'm going to add action, remove, right? See, remove campaign. And I'm going to type in My Awesome Challenge. There it is. And then the other thing that this automation needs to do, because it is going to be delivered as a clickable link, is we need to send someone somewhere after they have clicked it. So that's going to be on a website custom page. And this one is called Preferences Updated. Now, let me show you really quickly what that looks like, just so we're clear. And again, this is included in your resource bundle. So this is Preferences Updated. Here's your page, super simple. Swap this out with an image of you or a logo. It says your preferences have been updated. Have questions, I'm here to help. And then this is just a contact form button. You can see what this looks like when it is published live. And we can go click right here. There you go. It pops up the contact form. So, so just a simple acknowledgement that that their request has been received successfully, right? So there's our preferences updated. It's concluded there. I'm going to go ahead and copy this because I'm going to use it in a next step. I'm going to add my automation. Now I'm going to go to saved replies. That is down here in our content library. And this is going to be called the same as our automation. So that's remove from My Awesome Challenge Sales Campaign. And here I'm going to say My Awesome Challenge is live. I'll be sending a few more emails like this over You could say over the next couple weeks, but you would need to modify this, say like at the end of your campaign. But let's just make this more evergreen. Let's see, we can say, I'll be sharing about, let's see, I'll be talking about this for the next few weeks. If you'd prefer to only receive my weekly emails, click here. So basically use whatever language you prefer that says, you know, hey, this is a sales solicitation for this My Awesome Challenge. If you know it's not for you, you can click here and you'll still get the great stuff that I'm normally sending you. So say that however it makes the most sense to you. But right here, where we're giving them a call to action, we are going to hyperlink this. And in that URL field, this is that code we copied from our automation. It's in brackets, right? So I'm going to click insert here. But let's go ahead and also, I'm going to copy My Awesome Challenge because I'm also going to hyperlink this and go find my sales page. Oops. I'm going to go find my sales page, which is sales page with countdown timer. This one right here. So I'm going to paste what I just copied. So there we go. Now that's hyperlinked. So now I'm actually talking about the challenge where I can go to the sales page so they can go see it. If they know they'd rather not see any more of these, they can opt themselves out. Oops. Command or Control Z is your friend. All right, I'm going to italicize this just so that it stands out a little bit from the rest of what is in the message content. I'm going to add a little, there we go. I'm going to enter before and after because you'll see how I use this in just a second. So we're going to go to create saved reply. And we now have our saved reply to go back and modify our campaign. So let's go back and find it. So now what we want to do is add our messages. So actually add the body of the campaign. So I'm going to add a message to the campaign. And maybe because we're talking about how to remove stress, we'll say, remember when Mondays used to be easy, right? And then maybe I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to personalize this. Happy Monday, or is it? All right, so now I can go in, I can drop in that saved reply. Oops, didn't actually go where I wanted it to go. I'm gonna hit enter a couple times here and pop that in. Perfect, here we go. So I'm gonna put this here and then I'm gonna get into, I'm gonna tell a story about a client. I'm gonna use a few paragraphs here to tell that story. And then I can say, head over here now to learn more and get started. And this is My Awesome Challenge. I'm going to hyperlink this and make it a button. Make that a link. Go find that sales page from our list here. And make it a button. There we go. All right, so that's where your call to action is if they're interested. Of course, if they don't want it, then they can opt themselves out by clicking here. So that's our first message. I'm going to, just for the purpose of expediency here, I'm going to duplicate it. We want to start this on day one. I'm going to duplicate it maybe 2 or 3 times, 4 times. There we go. All right, so this is going to be the maybe the last call. This is our cart closing. Obviously, you're going to do a better job with your copy than I am doing here in this quick example. But we'll go back here and I want to show you how we're going to order our messages. So start on day 1, please. This is going to make your life easier. Then we're going to have a day 2, a day 3, etc. But depending on how long your campaign is going to run or when your cart actually closes, we're just going to pretend like ours is maybe 2 weeks. So I'm going to make this 14. You're going to remember, again, have a crescendo in your messaging, right? So saying last call, last chance, etc. You're going to say that kind of thing down here. It's a little bit more intense. That'll be one of the last things that you send out. If you are going to be very story focused, feel free to send something once a day. People can always opt themselves out if they don't want it, right? So anyway, what we want to do next is actually apply date specific campaign settings here so that this actually delivers how you want it to when you want it to. So here we go, specific date. Now, if my launch is going to be, let's just say my cart will close on August 30th, then I want this number 14 here. I want this to deliver on the 30th, right? So that means I need to go back, touch that prematurely, to the 16th here as the start date. Now you'll notice that that means that the first message actually sends out on the 17th, right? So you do need to adjust. So if this is actually supposed to send on a Monday, then you will want to make sure that you are sending out, you're starting the campaign, say, on a Sunday, right? So there's the 11th, and then that first email goes out on the 12th. Remembering, of course, that you can send these out at specific times of day. There is a default time of day that you can adjust these times based on where you are in the world and when you want these to send. So yeah, you want to make sure that you set that adjustment there so that these go out when you want them to. And then finally, what you're going to do is when it's time to promote, you're going to go to your contacts. You're going to filter for your general mailing list. Here's our general mailing list. I'm going to go to actions. I'm going to go to mail. Or sorry, not mail, sorry. I'm going to go to actions. I'm going to go to bulk content actions. And then I'm going to go find that campaign. So sales campaign, here we go. My awesome program sales campaign. So then you can apply this and those messages will start sending when you want them to. Now let's go take a brief look at our sales page. And that's going to be over here under pages. I do include on this checklist that I would like for you to make sure that you attach on the sales page the opt-out automation that we've created already, because we don't want people who've purchased to keep receiving the sales campaign. So what you're going to do here, let me find my countdown timer sales page. Here we go. You're going to want to go in and make sure under settings, and this is going to be under payments. Now, this one doesn't have a payment processor set up. Once you've got your payment options set up, and this may be something that you choose to do at the point of purchase on a vault, if the buttons on this sales page with a call to action are maybe going to a vault checkout page instead of providing an option to check out here on this page, you will be attaching that automation there so that you're removing the sales campaign. You, again, highly recommend that you utilize a countdown timer and of course stay congruent with your messages and emails, because when you say just 2 days left in the email, you want to make sure that it's 2 days left when they actually click the link and go to the page. All right, let me see if we have missed anything. So we've got our campaign. Yeah, and then we've applied our sales campaign. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you are wanting to, to cover for, basically anyone who is signing up for your list during this promotional period, what I want to encourage you to do is on your homepage, whatever that might be, and also wherever you are actively offering some kind of a lead magnet, consider including this campaign alongside the one that you already have, or maybe using a slightly shorter campaign for that. And again, this is optional. If you are someone who doesn't have a very lengthy campaign for your freebie, maybe it's just a quick 1 or 2 emails, then this will work really beautifully. You may want to make some adjustments for the volume of emails people will be receiving if you want to apply both campaigns. But essentially what you'll do is you'll go to what to do after a lead registers under leads. And then you're going to create an automation that instead of our previous one that removes that sales campaign, you'll add the sales campaign because your campaign that delivers your lead magnet should already be connected right here. Right, so you'll use an automation, and this will work the same way if you're using a landing page as opposed to a page like this one. You're going to keep your existing campaign, but you're going to use an automation to attach an additional one. All right, I know we've got a couple of questions here, and we do have some discussion to get into. So without further ado, let me get into our Q&A. Janice says, need to add buttons and do the links. Is there a webinar to watch or a link that helps me do that? Can you tell me a little bit more about what you feel like you're needing help with, Janice? I can absolutely show you again. If we're talking about adding buttons, say to emails and things like that, and I'd be happy to demo that one more time. We don't have a dedicated training on just that, but it's a pretty quick thing to pick up. Peggy says, can you show what you do if the contact opts in? Set up an automation to remove a tag, but what tag would you remove? Not general mailing list. So in this case, I mean, they would stay on the general mailing list. Unless you have a reason to, for instance, like if somebody signs on to work with you, and if they were already on your general mailing list, they're probably going to stay on your general mailing list. You just might, you know, filter out existing clients. So if this is an offer that you run on an ongoing basis, and it's not something that people repurchase, you could, when you're filtering for your general mailing list, filter to exclude the folks that are on your general mailing list that this isn't appropriate for and apply the campaign that way. But you'll note that in the automations and everything that I've discussed here today, we actually aren't adjusting tags because what you're doing is you've got folks that are on your general mailing list and they will respond to your offer and purchase. And in that case, at the point of purchase, you've got a new tag that's being applied to them, perhaps the client tag. But if they opt out of just this sales campaign, they're still on your general mailing list. Right? So we actually aren't really even fooling around with tags here in this instance. We're just providing a way for people who want to keep hearing from you, but not like this, to just say, not me this time. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Sonia, because this is something you requested, I'm going to go ahead and bring you out to chat. And then after that, I'm going to bring Angeline out. And I'm excited to chat with you here today as well, Angeline. We've been chatting in the Client Funnel Challenge here recently. Okay. Hey, Sonia, how can we help?
You know what? You answered most and all questions on this tutorial, so thank you so much. But what resource could I use as far as copy for the email sequence or idea suggestions?
So for a sales sequence, I mean, I would really consider using like kind of putting your guidelines into place and then getting into AI. And then kind of rewriting what you get to make it really sound like you. You want to be really clear on what your goal is. So for, like on a per email basis, you could absolutely go in and have Write with AI and AttractWell create you know, the different aspects for you. Maybe even have it create an outline first. Right. So you basically say, you know, over a 14-day period, I want to send one email out to folks who are on my list. And I'm going to be promoting this. Here are the details. You know, give me an idea of how I can go from just introducing all the way through to buy now. And then you could take, you know, the idea for each of those days and then do one email at a time. That would be more effective, honestly, than other options. I think, I don't remember specifically. Oh, you know what we did do? I think we did a sales campaign video in AttractWell Office Hours, but I think you're going to find a more targeted answer and solution in, and maybe like mapping this out with AI and then having it kind of write out some ideas for you. But the format is essentially starting out, you know, with some kind of an engaging story, case study, testimonial, etc. You want to really be hitting on the pain points that the people that you want to sell this to are feeling, and make that the subject. And then, you know, as you are really kind of poking at the problem, here's the solution, right? Here's the balm, here's the band-aid, and that's the thing that you're selling, right? And you just basically want to do that in every email. But then you have permission as you get closer to the end of the sequence to say, hey, you've heard all about this. Let's talk about what you're going to lose by not taking action right now. You can get a lot more forward as you get closer to the end of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then from an email a day to every other day, do you see one better than the other? I mean, I don't know.
So it's going to
If
depend.
I'm doing this 14-day cycle.
Yeah. So it's going to depend on, there's not an exact science to this.
Okay.
Definitely more emails as opposed to less, because most people are not opening and reading all emails.
Yeah.
So, and again, for the folks who are like, nope, not for me, you're going to have that. There's a reason why I want you guys, if you have a sales campaign like this, to put that saved reply up at the very top. And that is like, if somebody just knows, they're like, I don't want this. This is too much. If that's where they're at right now, we want to keep them on our list, right? For the other things that they signed up for. So we're just going to put that up at the top so they can opt out. So I would err on the side of more. If you can make sure that the emails that you're sending are engaging, right? There's something that are, you know, kind of eliciting more of like a conversation between you and the reader.
Perfect. Okay. No, I really appreciate it. I needed help with the flyer, but I ended up solving my problem. So we're good.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing this up and submitting that question. It's the reason why we have today's training.
Yeah, super excited. Thank you so much. You did very well and it answered all of my questions, to be honest.
Fabulous. Happy to hear that. Okay. The cheat sheet that we're sharing does not show how to make the button, but essentially what you're doing, and I can just show you this really quickly here, is you're going to go into whatever your field is, and you're going to take whatever text you want to hyperlink. You're going to select it. I go ahead and copy it, especially if you're going to be grabbing from the drop-down menu the page you want to use. And then you're going to go to this insert link. You're going to paste your link, or you're going to find it from your drop-down. If you find it from the drop-down, you do need to paste in that the text that was there originally. So we go insert. This is now a link, right? If I want this to be a button, I can click the link and you can see style right here. If I click style, it's going to pop up all of the options that I have available for hyperlinks that I've set up in my, what is it, like my colors and fonts. Okay, that was helpful, but will a contact receive the rest of the sales campaign after they opt in? If you mean like by opt-in, they've purchased, so they have taken, like they've responded to what you're selling and they're going to take action on it. No, if you're using the automation that I mentioned there at the end to remove this, so the same automation that we created, right? It's going to remove them from the campaign. They can click it in the email, but you can also attach that automation to your point of sale, whether that be at a vault level or on a page. And if you're attaching that automation at the point of sale, they will no longer receive the sales sequences if they purchased. Let's see, mixed up time zones, wanted to come earlier, had a question. My launch has been delayed severely. Course is currently on early bird price. Can I still work on a 4 to 6 week launch plan despite? Yeah, absolutely. So it's on an early bird price, depending on the size of your list. You know, you never know how many people were actually paying enough attention, right? So it's always better to go back to the drawing board of building attention, not building attention toward the launch, but just building attention toward you and the soapbox that you're on. Because that's really what you want, is for people to, when you step up on it or into their inbox, for them to go, oh, what's he saying? Oh, what's that? oh, I need to open that, right? So it's always a good idea to go back to that. And, you know, if you called it early bird, call it something else this next time, and it'll feel like something totally new. Yeah, so, and yeah, if you go back to the 4 to 6 week thing, TL, you're not talking about the course, not for a while, right? So talk about other things, build interest, deliver value, and then just call that early bird something different. Okay. All right, now, Angeline, thank you so much for your patience. How can we help?
Um, well, I well, the first thing I want to know, and this is based on what you just shared with us, I am the person, one of the people who doesn't, I don't have a list yet. So I'm working on the client funnel challenge. So where do I fall within that 4 to 6 weeks thing? Is it still okay to launch the funnel challenge and just use my content to drive the traffic too? Because I'm trying to drive them to a discovery call at this point.
Yes,
to sell it
yeah.
myself.
Okay, so I would place a much longer emphasis on the front end there, which does include, so in the client funnel challenge, you are creating the funnel that moves people to that point where they get on a call with you. So that is part, like having the funnel is part of phase one. So I would say if you don't have a list yet, that you maybe you stretch phase one to something a bit longer, right? So if you don't currently have an email list, you know, then you want to focus on, you know, on the efforts that get the list building. Of course, you know, where we're talking about, you know, if you're doing discovery calls in order to get someone into an offer, it's a good chance that what you're offering is something that, that you're not necessarily going to treat exactly the same way that I've discussed today, right? So you're not going to treat it like a course, right? You don't need to have a discovery call to get someone into a course. So you don't necessarily have to treat the urgency the same way. You don't have to have the sales campaign. Really, I would just be focusing on phase one. And when you have something that you want to promote in a larger scale, such as a course or a group program or something like that, then you would follow, you know, phase two, phase three, etc. So really what you're doing is really digging into phase one and giving that your all, because that's going to establish the community that you're pulling from for those future sales messages. Okay.
Thank you for that. And my next question is about the lead magnet.
Okay.
So you saw the roadmap and you have a gist of what it's a 3-phase program. And I specifically said cultivating growth because after the program, they will not have grown because there's so much involved in setting the foundation and setting up the KPI dashboard. So I want to make sure I'm honoring what they can expect. And that's where the word cultivating growth comes from. And so my lead magnet is a list of 15, because these are all service-based businesses. It's a list of 15 KPIs for service-based businesses. And that's a good takeaway because even if they don't go through the program, they can, and it gives them the formulas, the calculations, what it means, client retention ratio, all of that. And so I'm just wondering, because it's not specifically from the program, we will be choosing among those KPIs as part of the program when they start to set up KPIs. But in this case, the lead magnet is a standalone document that can be used. And of course, I'll be able to speak to it with content. Is that close enough to the program as you've been suggesting? Lead magnet, okay.
Yeah, I think so. And here's how I would make sure that that's as tied in as possible, because it's likely that depending on the type of service, because you're not just focusing on a single type of service-based business, you're focusing on service-based businesses, right?
Right.
So
these are all
that
universal
means
to service.
Right. So
Sorry.
then what you can do is you've got this list and your lead magnet, I'm sure, goes into a great deal of depth. But then what you can do is in that email sequence that goes out is you can talk about this key performance indicator and then say, is this something that you're looking to work on? Like, here you can set up a free call, right? And so then you can kind of give them not just in that not just in the download, but in the emails themselves, right? Encourage them to hit reply, because when that comes to them and you're speaking their language, they're going to respond to that honestly more readily than they will from the lead magnet. The lead magnet is really how you are establishing authority. And sometimes if it's compelling enough and timely enough, they'll act on the lead magnet, but they're much more likely to act on an email that comes later that really speaks to a problem or an issue that they have. So really take advantage of that space in the email sequence to really point to those things, dig into those things, and give a really clear call to action for them to even hit reply if they have questions. And then, of course, once they do, you can respond with something brief, but then why don't we get on a call, right? And so we're moving them still in that direction.
Wonderful. My next question is, so I have gone through the process of calculating the potential ROI for and quantifying it for each of the phases of the program. And I'm using, sales, service-based business scenarios, and how, for example, if they implement, say a CRS or CRM or something like that, because that's part of one of the phases is the foundation. I can predict based on industry 15% time saved, and then I can calculate that time into whatever they're charging. So it's all clearly spelled out, but what it's almost like a document. And so I'm trying to figure out where that might fit in the sales process. Is it during the discovery call, maybe because it's so much to consume, or
so that sounds like
really
that sounds like currency and metrics and things that they really belong just peppered out through all of this, right? So if you are talking about just however you can connect them together, if you have, especially in your case where you can say, I can save you this much, or I can help you make this much, and those are related to things like money and time, such as for a business owner. That is, so many of us deal in the abstract where it's very difficult for us to kind of quantify the value of what we do. If you have any quantifiable data or anything that resembles quantifiable data, it belongs everywhere. If you're writing an email, just excerpts, blurbs, they are just as important as a testimonial or a case study or something like that. Because that's a claim that you're making, and especially for you speaking to business owners, time is money, money is time. Like if you could save this much, they're listed, like they're going to go, what now? Right? So use those to your advantage.
Okay. And then you had given me a bulleted list of what the funnel is from a sequence perspective. Can you walk me through that? Because I got confused where the in the discovery call is where I would show them a video describing the program. And I thought that was before discovery call. And maybe I misunderstood.
Sure, yeah. So there's a couple of different options here. Let me see if I can pull that up here and we can just kind of look at it and talk through together.
Okay.
Oh, that's not it. Let me find, here we go, client funnel challenge. Okay, so for you guys who are watching, if you want to see what we're talking about, participate in this discussion and take advantage of what Angelina is going through here. The client funnel challenge is something that you can find in the AttractWell Success Academy, which is in your right up here. All right, so I believe this was under outline your program. Yes. Okay. So, all right, perfect. So So when I mentioned in this program or in this course that that sort of as a bonus, you could create a video that outlines this very, very cool sort of infographic that you've created here that outlines the client journey. The idea of creating a video isn't necessarily for the sake of having or even using a video. It's just as much for the value of rehearsing or practicing your delivery when outlining the journey. So in your case, it sounds to me like a video could be useful as just sort of like a little detail that you could provide if somebody's like, hey, could you remind me how this works? Or maybe they are, in the process of evaluating whether or not you're a right fit for them, but they've had a call with you. And this is something that you maybe send to kind of reiterate some of the things that you may have talked about, right? So a video could be useful in that case. But in your case, from everything that you've shared with me thus far, the video is if you're using one, it would only be reiterating what you've already talked about. The greatest value of providing a narration of this for you, from what I understand of your business and how you're growing it, is for you to narrate something like this just on a call with them. So you're on the discovery call, and you're simply using this as a presentation tool. If you wanted to create a video, I believe it would be the one that's in this case here, where it's just reiterating what you've already said. In some cases, this would be true for folks who are maybe offering, like, this is depicting not a we work together, but a you watch my videos, buy my course kind of thing. In that case, you might be option number 2, where that presentation of the journey is doing most of the heavy lifting. But I don't think that's your case. You're this one here. So then
I'm working up to that, because eventually I do want this to courseify.
Yeah, absolutely. So for now, you're number 1 in both cases, but once you're ready to launch something that's leveraged, that's a course that's not your one-on-one discovery call and private client situation, you would go with number 2 in both cases. So and that would be this first set of steps. So what they're going to see first is a landing page that's offering that list of KPIs and those explanations of KPIs. The next page is going to be, let's identify your top KPI and figure out how you can hit it this quarter. That's going to be on your authority page. If they're like, yes, that's compelling, they're going to go straight over to your booking page, get onto your calendar. And then your email campaign is going to be doing all the things that we instruct in the Client Funnel Challenge, which is maybe sending them back to the booking page, right? Hey, if you haven't booked a call, go do it now. Hey, here's, did you see that thing that I sent you? Here it is again. Let's talk about this or that, right? And that's the lead magnet delivery page. If they take action, they have a call with you. And if you make an offer on the call, you could absolutely, send them maybe a PDF version of something like this. If you wanted to, or if you had a page that had that included, again, perhaps with a video, and that's here where it would just be reiterating what you talked about on the discovery call, but it would be general for anybody who has a discovery call with you. You could use a page like that. But generally speaking, simply sending them this, and even just sending like a saved reply that has we have this many calls, we meet this often, it's this much, here are the payment options, let me know what you want to do. And you could accomplish it that way too. That's the low-tech way to do it.
Okay, perfect. So that one, as I mentioned, there's a lot of spell issues, but just in general, because I've already cleaned it up. But do you see a place where I can put at least put my web address? I mean, because it's it's like use every bit of space I could, because I wanted to get those.
Yeah, you know where you can put it? A QR code right here. QR code right here.
Oh, I forgot about a QR code. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. I know this is very general, but and I know this is going to take some time based on what I'm engaging them into, but do you have any formulas for how you would estimate the duration of a program? I know that's so subjective, but
it is.
Is it based on what you would engage them into and how long it might take? Because it's definitely going to be some education involved.
Yeah. I do know that it's difficult to sell things that are longer than 90-day commitments. And that's
Yeah,
just
and that's
because,
what.
yeah, when people are making decisions about what to do with their time, their life, etc., if it's something they know they can just engage with lightly, so here's a month, here's an annual membership, and you can Netflix my content, to your heart's content. That's a fine selling proposition. But this is a 12-month program. That's something that you're only going to be able to sell for $10,000 or more to somebody who's probably already spent $8,000 with you.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like I might have to cut some fat. But I also think I might be able to deliver it within the 90 days. Because again, what they're doing, the output of the program is having the plan to implement. It's not doing the implementation.
Right. So
So
Cheryl
with
just
that
mentioned
said,
something very important here in the chat. It's an idea you might consider. Break it up and sell it in stages. Because what you're going to find is that the majority of people are really, they need your stage 1. And then you can sell to graduates, your stage 2, and so on. And you could have an option where people can go all in and just go ahead and purchase the whole journey. And maybe you do provide some kind of an incentive for that. But you create the experience in those smaller winnable stages.
Because each of them has a finite takeaway without needing the rest of the phases to be effective. So, okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks for coming out and all of your great questions. And I'm sure a lot of us are super envious of you being able to come up with percentage ROIs of working with you, because
I'm an accountant.
Well,
I'm a bean counter. So I'm working the other side of my skill set, but I go back to my numbers and in detail, which is what's taking me so long.
Well,
it's working now.
The fantastic thing is that if you're selling to businesses, if you're selling to people whose priority is an ROI on money or time, having that bean counter brain, embrace it, because being able to say, I can help you grow this much. Here's if you can, numbers sell in a really fantastic way.
They tell a story.
They do. And you don't have to be a great storyteller for the numbers to tell a great story. So lean into that.
Well, thank you. That's a wonderful, I can't remember who suggested that with the phases, but thank you so much, because that was a sticking point for me. So that's great. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for coming out. All right, I'm going to get to the rest of the questions here. Janice, to do payment. So the button to go to payment, you're going to use #lead as the URL in the button, and that's going to open up your pop-up form. You do have the ability to have a form embed on a page. We do have several help articles about this. Feel free, if you are unclear on where to find those, to shoot us a message, and we're happy to connect you with that so that you can get the help you need setting that up. Where do you have a list of the things for the buttons? We probably have that in a help article, but if we don't, then we certainly should. Like, what do all of the hashtags do? I like that idea. The short list is #contact pops up the contact form, #lead pops up the lead form, and then # whatever you've named a section will jump to a page section. Am I forgetting any? I think that's it. Awesome.
And we do have a help article. I'll put it in here. It has those 2 in there, basically.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. All right. What's the best way to bill if we wanted them to be able to pay in installments? So if you wanted to auto bill in installments, you could set up a vault. So if this is, if it's a group experience, then it's just one vault. If you want to maybe have a private client dashboard, definitely grab our unlimited vaults add-on, and then you can have a private client dashboard for each client. You could set up your own payment plan for them there, and then they can go and they can be billed automatically at the installment level that you've set up. All right, TL, how much of a difference do you think the visuals of a sales page for the course really makes? One of the feedback I got is that I ought to hire someone for high-end 3D mock-ups of my course and all of its modules to enhance the quality of the product, you don't need you don't need to hire somebody fancy to sell something. Like we were just talking about with Angeline, numbers tell stories, and of course results tell stories. In the case of you, you have music that tells stories, depending on which of the many things that you are qualified to offer. So I would keep it clean, keep it simple, and really focus on, definitely check out our sales page training. You want to keep the sort of idea in mind that as someone is scrolling through a sales page, they're kind of having a conversation with you, right? You're there on the page and they're reading what you're saying, but you're anticipating what they're thinking, right? And so there's an approach there that really benefits you way more than any slick 3D rendering can provide. Having stories, anecdotes, case studies if you have them, or even better, if you've got numbers and percentages, like our friend Angeline does, those are going to accomplish infinitely more than some kind of mock-up of what your course looks like on a mobile versus a desktop. And those are very easily created in Canva, by the way. And we have different, I think actually in our sales page trainings that we actually have Canva templates that include those mock-ups, which by all means, use those if you like, but they are nowhere near as necessary or important rather as your copy. And sure, like great visuals, they enhance anything, but I don't know that I would condone on like an initial launch like this, like going out and spending a ton of money on a designer. Your first few product launches are going to be things that you need to learn from and then go back and revise, right? So, people rarely ever knock it completely out of the park the first time. We've had folks on our platform, with $1 million month selling a course. And I can tell you, because I helped work on that launch, that was, I think, the third iteration of that same content. And there was no professional hired to do graphics for it. So it's really about the message and how you connect with your people. All right, different prices for different courses. Can only see how to do this on one pop-up. Okay, yeah, so that's if you're selling, Jeanette, on a page. So if you're wanting to sell with multiple payment options, and specifically if those payment options require multiple payments, like installments, you're going to want to set that up on a Vault checkout page. And that's going to allow you to have a one-time option as well as a 3-part or a 5-part, et cetera. And you can have those standardized there on a page. Awesome. Okay, thank you guys for sticking around. You guys are fantastic. Let me know what you want to learn about next. We're back here same time next week. Hope you guys have an incredible, productive week. Take care. See you next time.